this case.
You stabbed her 17 times in the face, neck, chest, back, abdomen, wrist, and hands.
Your mother was killed at an early age by a guy who raised you.
It was a guy that she was dating.
There is a photograph of Craig Titus from 2002 that tells you everything you need to know about where he thought his life was going. He is standing on the Olympia stage in Las Vegas, under the lights, his physique carved into the kind of muscular density that takes years of grinding, eating, injecting, suffering, and total commitment to produce. He is 37 years old, and he is at the peak of a career that had already made him one of the most recognizable names in professional bodybuilding. The crowd is watching. The cameras are clicking. He is exactly where he wanted to be. 3 years later, he and his wife killed a woman, stuffed her body in the trunk of their Jaguar, and set the car on fire in the Nevada desert. He is 60 years old now, sitting in a cell at Lovelock Correctional Center in Nevada, with 4 denied parole hearings behind him, and an earliest possible release date that sits in December 2026, assuming any board ever finds him worthy of it. The Olympia photographs exist. The prison records also exist. Both of them are the same man. Bodybuilding is a sport that demands total control. Control of the body, control of the diet, control of every variable in a physical system that most people would find overwhelming to even think about. The irony is that the same sport that teaches discipline has, throughout its history, produced a remarkable number of men whose control over the rest of their lives collapsed spectacularly. Men who built extraordinary physiques and then destroyed everything else around them. Men who are currently sitting in prison cells, their muscle mass long gone, their competitive careers reduced to a footnote, their names remembered not for what they accomplished on a stage, but for what they did afterward. These are the bodybuilders who are currently rotting in jail. Every one of them is real. Every one of them is confirmed. And every one of their stories is a case study in how completely a life can fall apart when the discipline stays inside the gym and disappears everywhere else. Craig Titus, the man who had everything and destroyed all of it. Craig Michael Titus was born in Wyandotte, Michigan in January 1965. By the time he discovered bodybuilding, he was 5 feet 8 and 140 pounds, a former high school football player who had switched to weights.
I started playing with weights in high school. I was a wrestler. I wrestled 132 pounds and I got sick of being small. So when I graduated, I started lifting weights and I liked the results I got, so I kept doing it.
Because he responded to them in a way that other sports had never produced. He grew. He kept growing. He won his first competition in 1988 and spent the next 15 years establishing himself as one of the most recognizable figures in the IFBB professional ranks. Not because he was the most gifted genetic specimen on the stage, but because he had the kind of relentless drive, stage presence, and muscular density that made him impossible to ignore. He also had a history with controlled substances that predated the murder by a decade. In April 1995, he pleaded guilty to conspiracy to possess ecstasy with intent to distribute. He was sentenced to 16 months of house arrest. In July 1997, he violated his probation by testing positive for anabolic steroids and was sentenced to 21 months in federal prison. He came back from that. The bodybuilding world has a complicated relationship with drug use, and a prison sentence for steroids was not the kind of thing that ended a competitive career in a sport built on pharmaceutical assistance. He returned to the stage. He competed at the Olympia multiple times. He placed among the top finishers at major events. He met and married Kelly Ryan, a fitness competitor who was herself building a legitimate career in the IFBB, and the two became one of the sport's power couples. Photographed together, interviewed together, appearing on magazine covers side by side. What was happening inside that relationship was something different from the image. Both of them had serious drug problems by the time of the murder. Ecstasy, cocaine, morphine. The kind of cocktail that in combination produces both paranoia and volatility in ways that are hard to control, regardless of how disciplined you are in other areas of your life. Melissa James was 28 years old. She was a dancer who had been hired as a personal assistant to Titus and Ryan at their Las Vegas home. She had become romantically involved with Titus, a fact that created a dangerous triangle inside a household already under significant chemical and relational stress. On December 14, 2005, in circumstances that were never fully reconstructed to everyone's satisfaction, Melissa James was tased, restrained with duct tape, injected with morphine, and killed. Her body was placed in the trunk of Kelly Ryan's red Jaguar. The car was driven to the desert outside Las Vegas and set on fire. Firefighters responding to the vehicle fire found the charred body in the trunk. Surveillance footage and witness accounts destroyed the initial claim from both Titus and Ryan that James had died of an overdose. Titus and Ryan fled Nevada. A 9-day manhunt across multiple states ended with their arrest. Both took plea deals before what would have been a joint trial. Titus pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, first-degree kidnapping, and arson. He was sentenced in August 2008 to 21 to 55 years in prison. Ryan pleaded guilty to arson and battery with a deadly weapon causing substantial bodily harm and received 6 to 26 years. She was paroled in October 2017 and has maintained a completely private life since her release. Titus has had 4 parole hearings in 2015, 2019, 2023, and 2024, and has been denied at each one. He has, from inside Lovelock Correctional Center, written letters to journalists claiming that he was not present during the actual killing, that it was Ryan and James alone in the room when the confrontation turned fatal, and that he accepted responsibility out of love for his wife.
A lot of things that were said that just weren't accurate about me and my wife. Really damaging things. I know I can't turn back time, but that's what I'm telling Mark. The interview's so limited because I'm limited to what I can say right now. I don't want to disrespect the courts, and I don't want to disrespect his family.
His mother has supported this version of events publicly. The parole board has not been persuaded. He is eligible for parole on the murder count as of December 2026. Whether he receives it is a separate question. He is 60 years old. The last Olympia photograph is over 20 years old. Melissa James has been dead since 2005. The Olympia crowd does not remember him. The parole board does. Paul Bashi, the assault that was caught on camera. Paul Bashi is not a name that most people in the international bodybuilding community would recognize. He was not a professional competitor. He was not an IFBB card holder. He was a bodybuilder from Macomb County, Michigan, the kind of competitive amateur who spent his time in gyms, building the kind of physique that most people who see it assume is the product of professional-level dedication. Because it is. In 2018, he attacked a woman in a way that was captured on surveillance camera. The footage showed a sustained and brutal assault, the kind that prosecutors are rarely required to argue about because the video removes any ambiguity about what happened.
Back, a bodybuilder from Macomb County accused of severely beating his girlfriend.
107 punches, 85 kicks, 28 stabs, 4 knives that were used for those 28 stabs, dozens of bludgeonings.
He was charged with attempted murder and torture. The charges reflected what was on the recording, which was not ambiguous. He pleaded guilty. At his sentencing hearing in December 2021 in Macomb County, he arrived in a wheelchair and claimed he did not feel well, collapsing in what his attorney attempted to use as grounds for procedural delay. His attorney also moved for a new prosecutor and a new judge on the grounds of alleged bias. Judge Joseph Toya denied both requests and proceeded.
You are not, I know you've been the focus, but you're not the victim in this case.
He sentenced Bashi to 14 years in state prison. The woman he attacked is now his wife. That detail is in the public record. It is one of the most disturbing single facts associated with any case on this list, and it does not require additional commentary. She survived. He is serving 14 years. He will be in his 50s when he is eligible for release. There is an additional element to the Bashi case that goes beyond the sentencing. His attorney's conduct at the hearing, the wheelchair, the collapse, the motions for new judge and new prosecutor, was a performance that the judge saw through and refused to accommodate. Judge Toya said on the record that he had no doubt Bashi was not the same person in that courtroom as he had been during the assault.
I don't doubt for a minute that you're not the same person that was on that porch and in that house on that particular day some 3 years ago.
which is not the same as saying the assault did not happen. The recording confirmed what happened. The sentence reflected it. Sven Lindamman, 6 knives in Endeavor Hills. On the night of May 30th, 2023, a woman named Monique Lesak ended her relationship with a man named Sven Lindamman. This happened in her home in Endeavor Hills, a suburb of Melbourne, Australia. She told him it was over. He was 52 years old and had been a competitive bodybuilder, the kind of man whose physical presence in a room communicated something specific about what he was capable of doing with his body. What followed was one of the most horrific incidents of domestic violence in recent Australian criminal history. Lindamman attacked Lesak in the ensuite of her bedroom. Her daughter, identified in court proceedings only as Lily to protect her identity, heard the assault begin and ran toward it. She saw her mother being attacked. She tried to intervene. She kicked Lindamman. She pulled the knife out of his hands twice. He went to the kitchen and found another knife. He came back. He used 6 knives in total, breaking 2 of them, inflicting fatal stab wounds to Lesak's head, neck, and chest. He strangled her.
You stabbed her 17 times in the face, neck, chest, back, abdomen, wrist, and hands.
He dragged her body through the house. Lily suffered 5 wounds during her attempts to protect her mother. She was present for the entire thing.
A bodybuilder who stabbed his girlfriend to death in front of her young daughter in a jealous rage.
Lindamman pleaded guilty in the Supreme Court of Victoria. In May 2024, he was sentenced to a minimum of 23 years and a maximum of 31 years in prison. The sentencing judge noted the extraordinary brutality of the attack, the number of weapons used, the sustained nature of the violence, the presence of the victim's daughter, and the complete absence of any justification. Lesak had done nothing other than end a relationship. She died for it. Lindamman is currently incarcerated in the Victorian prison system. He will not be eligible for release until he is in his late 70s at the earliest, assuming any parole board eventually considers him. He entered a guilty plea, which the court acknowledged as an indication of some acceptance of responsibility. The sentencing did not reflect that acknowledgement in a way that significantly reduced the time he will serve. The facts of what Lily witnessed in that house were not the kind of facts that produce shorter sentences. Monique Lesak was a mother. Her daughter tried to save her life with her bare hands, twice pulling a knife away from the man using it to kill her mother. That is what actually happened in Endeavor Hills on the night of May 30th, 2023. The gym, the competitions, the physique. None of that appears anywhere in the court record. Only the 6 knives and the 31 years. Paul Riccardi, the murder that made a rock legend's childhood a tragedy. This is the oldest case on the list, but it belongs on it because the man responsible is still incarcerated, and because the name of one of his victims connects the story to something that millions of people who know nothing about bodybuilding have heard of. Paul Riccardi was a competitive bodybuilder in California in the 1980s. He is described in court documents from the era as weighing approximately 298 pounds, with a body fat percentage of approximately 2%. The kind of physique that represents years of extreme dedication. He used that physique in a way that had nothing to do with competition. His former girlfriend was a woman named Connie Navaro. After their relationship ended, Riccardi became what witnesses and prosecutors described as increasingly obsessive and malicious toward her. The harassment was consistent and escalating. In 1983, he hired 2 men to carry out murders. Connie Navaro and her friend Sue Jory were both killed. The day before the murders, Riccardi had broken into Connie's home, pointed a gun at her 15-year-old son, and handcuffed him.
How did you know he was the guy who killed your mom?
Well, I kind of put 2 and 2 together. I mean,
Right.
the guy had a gun to my head a couple weeks. He had broken into the house and kind of held me up and handcuffed me and basically got pretty violent and then let me go.
The son was not at the house the night the murders took place. He was staying with his father. He survived by circumstance alone. That son was David Navarro. He later became Dave Navarro, guitarist and founding member of Jane's Addiction, one of the most influential alternative rock bands of the 1990s, and later a prominent television personality. His mother was murdered by his mother's former boyfriend.
Your mother was killed at an early age by a guy who raised you.
It was a guy that she was dating.
A bodybuilder who hired men to do it when Dave was 15 years old. That fact has shaped his life and his art in ways that have been documented across decades of interviews. He has spoken about it. He has written about it. The loss of Connie Navaro is not a biographical footnote for her son. It is the central wound of his existence. Paul Riccardi was convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to death. The sentence was appealed. The Supreme Court of California overturned the death sentence. He was resentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He did not pull the trigger himself. He hired the men who did. But the law holds the person who directs a murder as responsible as the person who carries it out. The court agreed. He has been incarcerated for over 40 years. He will die there. The pattern that connects them: Craig Titus, Paul Bashi, Sven Lindamman, Paul Riccardi. 4 men. 4 cases in different countries, across different decades, involving different circumstances and different victims. 1 through line. In each case, the violence was directed at a woman who was in some kind of proximity to the man. A personal assistant with whom there was a romantic entanglement. A woman who became the wife of her attacker. A woman who had just ended a relationship. A woman who had once been a girlfriend. The pattern is not subtle. It does not require interpretive work. It is present in the facts as they were established in courtrooms, on surveillance footage, and in police records. Bodybuilding produces men who are accustomed to using their physical capacity as a tool. The sport is, at its core, about the intentional development of physical power, maximizing what the human body can do, making it larger and stronger and more capable than it was before. That development is entirely neutral in isolation. It is neither good nor bad. A powerful body is a powerful body. What matters is every decision made outside the gym about what to do with it. The men on this list made specific decisions. Those decisions are now documented in the criminal records of 4 different judicial systems. The muscle is gone now. Months or years inside a correctional facility without equipment, without protein, without the pharmaceutical assistance that built the physiques in the first place, strips it away with a biological indifference that no amount of prior dedication can prevent. What remains is the record of what they did and the sentences they are serving for it. Craig Titus is 60 years old and waiting for a parole board in Nevada to decide whether he deserves to see the outside of a cell. Paul Bashi is serving 14 years in Michigan. Sven Lindamman will not be eligible for release until he is in his late 70s, if ever. Paul Riccardi will die in a California prison. The photographs of them at their physical peaks still exist, somewhere. The court documents exist too. Both are equally real. Only one of them matters now.